Ukraine has opened the door for peace summit with Russia, yet the conditions are seemingly a little out there overall. Do I agree with them? Certainly, sure. Maybe not with the Crimea part of the process. But ultimately, doesn't seem like they are that open. But hey, it opens the door to conversations. Maybe. We'll see what happens. They've made a lot of gains on the ground. So I do hope that Russia is more open-minded.
A relentless barrage in eastern Ukraine targets Russian positions. This is where their most capable units are, says this soldier. But we will beat them. Tough talk on the battlefield, but more conciliatory words from Ukraine's foreign minister, Dmytro Kuleba. On Boxing Day, telling the Associated Press he's aiming for a peace summit at the UN by the end of February, the one-year anniversary of this war. Russia can come, he says, so long as it faces prosecution.
This part was like I understand why you would want that, right? That like all Russian leaders get prosecuted in a tribunal for war crimes, right? But like that's just not, that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Like that's an insane fucking demand. Like that's just like basically saying we want to do it's like saying we want to do a fucking peace negotiation or a ceasefire negotiation and then claiming that you actually don't want it. You know what I mean?
For war crimes.
If this regime remains in power, it's really inconceivable, in my opinion, that somehow you can reconcile holding Russia accountable for the war crimes committed and at the same time negotiate with that same regime.
Human rights.
Like that's crazy. That's like they're asking for way more than realistic so they can settle somewhere in the middle later. I understand why you would do that, but I do also fear that we know that Russia doesn't operate with like normal fucking takes. I mean, after all, they did invade Ukraine, despite the fact that I told numerous times to Vladimir Putin that he should not do this. And also said it would be insane for him to do this. And Vladimir Putin saw my tweets and was like, no, I'm doing it anyway. Okay? But they demonstrated that they're not operating with like clarity. Okay? They demonstrated that they're not necessarily operating with like smart intentions. Okay? So when you come to the table and you're like, yeah, everyone needs to be arrested. Vladimir Putin, we will do a ceasefire, but you have to go to a military tribunal where you will be executed. Like, okay, well, they're not going to fucking do that. You know what I mean? You could do that. You could technically do that if you just like completely wiped out all the Russian forces, basically like won the war of attrition, maybe in like 2-3 years. I don't even know. But right now at this stage, like, not going to happen. No, IG post asking them to chill. Why not? I did. Oh, yes, the old economist fallacy of assuming people behave rationally, I see. Ukrainian leaders and reps have to ask for a pound of flesh due to all the damage that has been done. They can't ask for half measures because their own people will be like, fuck this weak asshole, get someone who will give us a pound of flesh. But like you can't, dude, this is a great take. Exactly. You're welcome to the table, but you must sit in the electric chair first is like not. I worry that this will cause them to just like behave in the classic erratic manner that they have behaved in, or they'll turn around and do like unjustifiable war crimes and be like, fuck you. Because I think everyone involved in this understands that there has to be an off-ramp for Russia in order to save face. And it seems fucking ridiculous to say that because they've done so much unimaginable cruelty in Ukraine. Right? And they're going to continue doing it. So if you want the bloodshed, the unnecessary bloodshed to stop, you got to give them somewhat of an off-ramp to save face. Or else you just continue going. Anyway, let's continue.
Investigators continue to document alleged Russian war crimes, like the killings of civilians in Bucha earlier this year. And yet, Russian President Vladimir Putin has repeatedly said he's open to negotiation. Most recently, on Christmas Day.
I would certainly not trust President Putin even with $2 if I had to.
Putin's war continues to lead to steep losses and strategic slaps in the face. Overnight, Russia claimed it shot down a Ukrainian drone near a key airbase for many of its bombers, 650 kilometers deep into its territory.
How many more months can the Russian military withstand these types of troop and equipment and material losses? I don't think they can do this for more than 6 months to a year.
Logistics, though, may not be the top concern for a leader who has gambled so much and gotten so little.
How does that?
In Ukrainian media, no mentions of peace talks. I think it's just to show the U.S. and Europe that Ukraine is ready for peace talks, potentially. Yeah, I mean,
That make Putin
I don't know.
Look good. So that's why I put this, the prospects of this at 25% or less.
And more likely, analysts say, this war will drag on well into a new year.
I think so too, but hey, guess what? I haven't had the best takes on this, you know what I mean? Especially in the beginning. It's been a year. It's going to be almost a year since my famous Russia will never invade Ukraine. They're so fucking, that would be so insane. They would get absolutely fucking withered in such a fundamentally stupid process. You know? So maybe if I say they'll never concede to peace talks, the opposite will happen.